don't really go to this dude very often. This is Tim Pool. Donald Trump indicted by Biden DOJ over classified docs. Trump says hope.
All right, we have this from Truth Social. Donald Trump has posted saying, the corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted seemingly over the boxes hoax. Even though Joe Biden has 1,850 boxes at the University of Delaware, additional boxes in Chinatown is paper thin and open much of the time. He continues, I have been summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in any sitting president in the history of our country. Indeed, a dark day. And responding to ALX, posting this, saying, there does seem to be far higher interest in pursuing Trump compared to other people in politics. Very important that the justice system rebut what appears to be differential enforcement, or they will lose public trust. Elon, I appreciate the sentiment, but you are a couple years too late. It's happening.
You know what you should have done is you're super smart, build a time machine and go back and make Trump not instruct Walt Nada to carry out a criminal scheme to hide classified documents from the federal government that he didn't have the right to have. Oh, Elon, I'm starting to doubt that you're the genius everyone says.
Federal indictment by the Biden DOJ is direct election interference. It is subversion of the United States election. It's just, I don't even know what to say other than
my advice to anybody who might be indicted for criminal conspiracy: run for office, because that's your get out of jail free card. That you can claim election interference just anytime. If you get pulled over, and they walk up and they say license and registration, and they ask you if you've been drinking, and you clearly are drunk off your ass, and you know how fast you were going because you blazed through a stop sign at 85 miles an hour, and you're currently spinning your tires in a playground on a kid. If they ask you to step out of the car, guns drawn, just go, excuse me, I have decided to run for mayor. And at that point, they will put their guns away for fear that they will be accused of election interference.
Yo, look, man. I don't see how this country remains on this path. I don't see how the United States stands and continues to function when you've got the sitting president filing an
people said the same thing about Nixon.
Indictment against his chief rival.
The argument that he's the chief rival is ridiculous, but also the idea that somehow magically in an ever-broadening field on the right as well, that him getting halvesies on the Republican Party, when pretty much Biden can lock up the Democratic vote the next time around, no matter who these nudniks are, especially because there's a lot of teeth grinders in the Republican Party that don't like Trump. Being your chief rival because you have in a 50-50 situation with two parties, which I would argue is not necessarily true. Republicans actually have fewer people. We saw that in the last election, especially when you start alienating independents and being a complete dick. And then Trump has half those people. Maybe, just maybe, it's about what the man has done.
And the same day, and we'll get to it in a minute, where evidence is coming out proving Biden is corrupt and was
oh yeah. Evidence is coming out. Evidence. We got evidence.
Taking bribes.
Well, not just Biden, right? The entire political establishment has been.
Yeah, the establishment, guys. The deep state, the swamp, they're all there. Everybody.
For a very long time, and we've seen selective prosecutions occur. I think in the case of Dinesh D'Souza, it was very...
well, they did select him because he committed a crime.
Obvious that his prosecution was politically motivated, though he did commit a crime. It's one that typically is not pursued in one way.
Right, and he didn't get preferential treatment, so therefore that's preferential treatment for... Okay.
Which almost never care.
You mean like the people who, in the villages, who tried to vote twice, the ones that did get, are getting prosecuted, and the other ones who tried to vote twice who aren't? Which one, who's getting preferential treatment? Both of them, all of them are Trump voters. All of them tried to vote for Trump twice.
Carries the penalty, which he received, which was jail time. So this has been happening for a while here, and now they're just moving on.
Yes, apparently the United States has been jailing people for committing crimes for a good long while. And I don't know how. We've got to put a stop to this. Also, the Democrats are soft on crime. And our American cities are being destroyed. Democrat mayors, blah, blah, blah.
To higher and higher profile people, like the former
Here's a good idea. Maybe get an American flag that doesn't look burned just to look cool, or doesn't look like you wiped your ass with it. What do you think? You picked up a wooden flag off the battlefield?
President of the United States,
gamer chair,
and one of the #1 polling people who's currently running in 2024.
Yes, he's polling at 50% of the other 50% of the voters. Yeah, badass. He's got a full quarter right now.
Donald Trump said that if he was in charge of the justice system in the United States, Hillary Clinton would be in jail. In an absolutely brilliant moment, which was hilarious and very rhetorically effective, the response from the media was, this sets a very dangerous precedent. Now, I think it's
largely because he was saying it extrajudicially. He was going to sick the DOJ on her, and that there was no real crime there, and he knew it, but he was just going to do that. Like that was going to be one of his first acts. Biden has not gone anywhere near that. Has said, look, if there's a there, that's up to the Department of Justice. And as it plays out, you guys seem blind to the idea that there's any difference at all. That the behavior of Trump about Hillary Clinton and the behavior of Biden about Trump himself, and the actions of Trump versus the actions of Hillary Clinton, it's a wash. It's a fucking wash. Which is lazy and weak and stupid and embarrassingly obvious.
A little bit different, right? Because there are things that Hillary Clinton has done that we can point to and say, almost anyone else who had done these things would at the very least be investigated and very likely be prosecuted. Now, with Donald Trump,
no, if at the very least you'd be investigated, that doesn't mean you're likely to be prosecuted. So the very least is just an investigation. Would likely be investigated and then likely prosecuted. That would make more sense. But the idea that she wasn't investigated, they extended it. They absolutely did. Comey even came out. It's why Trump got in office in the first place. This shit put him over the hump.
What they're trying to nail him for is having classified documents, even though he, as president, had the authority to declassify them.
Yeah, he doesn't make that case anymore. That's it. You're not caught up on his recent lies. Also, again, do you think these dickheads are going to follow up with I've seen the indictment. Apparently, he says he didn't have the ability to declassify these things. I guess that's my bad. I'm a sucker.
And did so.
No, he didn't. No, he did not.
There's absolutely nothing here, but they want to lock him up because he is setting an example.
Because they want to lock him up for stuff that you say he's not even saying, or he says you're whatever.
Example for the American people, and so now they need to make one out of him.
Well, what would the example be? Don't steal classified documents, especially top secret, no foreign intel that should not be in a fucking bathroom at Mar-a-Lago that is accessible by not only members but guests as well at a rental property.
I sure think that I bet Trump regrets not prosecuting Hillary Clinton.
Because you guys would have gone after him for you don't do this to your political rivals. You don't. And by the way, you do know he's not a prosecutor, right? He had no control over that. And even if he told the DOJ to sick her, they couldn't without evidence. And that investigation was already going on, and it didn't bear any fruit.
He was like, we're going to lock her up. And then as soon as he got elected, he's like, we're not going to do it. And
yeah, just like every other thing that he promised that Mitch McConnell didn't hand him. All of Trump's biggest wins are Mitch McConnell's wins.
Now he's probably really upset that he didn't, because they're coming after him with everything they've got.
Well, yeah.
No, they've got, again, satellites and Predator drones and I guess CIA kill teams and nuclear weapons and microwave radiation waves and all kinds of experimental stuff, not to mention God knows what kind of biolabs there are out there that could, they sneak something into his fish delight. No, they're just charging him with shit that's quite obvious he committed, and he bragged about the kind of laws he
had a
break.
weak Justice Department from the beginning. Remember Sessions gave in, right?
Yeah, motherfucking Sessions, that guy, the first guy to endorse Trump. What an asshole. And then he goes in there and he's like, won't even break the law for Trump. Like, are you motherfuckers loyal at all?
Right away. It must have been a month into the administration.
Yep.
Yes, into the administration. You mean hashtag the best people?
They went after Flynn. VP fired Flynn. And we
The VP fired Flynn. No, he didn't. Trump fired him over him lying to the vice president.
sat through 4 years of this Russia hoax.
And golf. 4 years of Russia hoax and a lot of golf. And some private meetings with Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. And a bunch of sessions of telling our allies that they fucking suck and trying to deny defensive weapons to Ukraine and offensive weapons to them right when Russia was planning to gin up an attack. But yeah, anyways, yeah, just 4 years of Russia. He wasn't. That's why he couldn't get an infrastructure bill passed, because nobody's gonna pass a bipartisan bill that everybody wants when the guy is. Well, he got the tax cut. Wait a minute.
Every day, CNN, MSNBC, the whole mainstream Russia hoax, and there was nothing there. But Jeff Sessions appointed a special prosecutor right off the bat, and we have to live with that. You think Merrick Garland will appoint a special prosecutor look into Joe Biden's $5 billion? Never. We have
his $5 billion. Well, that's a bigger number. I guess he'd have to.
Two tiers of justice in this country.
Yes, the rest of us, and apparently Trump can fuck around for decades before any of this shit hits him.
It was interesting that they released this on a Thursday at 7:40 p.m.
Jesus Christ. Does everybody on, do all the regulars on Tim's show look like they'd have separate tents at Burning Man for a reason?
Right before we go live, like, I'm not saying we're the center of the universe, but do they want to make a public spectacle? Is this more about
Trump announced it?
That's true. That's true.
I was watching.
Did they announce this just because we're awesome? No, Trump announced it. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe Trump wants us to bitch about it. Maybe he's trying to get the jump on it because he knows we won't read the indictment.
Trump wants us to talk
and
about
I thought, quite frankly, they should break it. I would love that.
Let's see if we can get him on the phone.
That'd be amazing.
If they want to make a public spectacle, is the goal here to humiliate Donald Trump, or is
No. The goal is to keep people from sharing classified documents, no matter who they are.
the goal to put him in jail?
Both. Yes.
I think context here is.
Well, I think I don't know. I don't think it would work according to you guys. You like him more if he goes to jail. So you got to choose jail or humiliation. I think I choose jail. I would go with jail. The humiliation part is emotional, and I don't even know how do you measure it? I mean, the man has no shame, so.
Very important. So Donald Trump will be the first former president who's ever been indicted on something. This is the second time he's going to be indicted. So first in New York City, the Manhattan District Attorney was working with the grand jury to indict Trump for these so-called hush money payments to Stormy Daniels.
They're not so-called. They were hush money payments. The question was whether he could list them as business payments for tax purposes.
Now we have the Department of Justice looking into these classified documents. The second indictment that's ever come up. Also, there's, I think, potentially a third indictment that's going to come from Georgia surrounding efforts to potentially, with what he said, with looking for votes with that whole scandal. There's also another civil suit against the Trump organization about lying to lenders and insurers about his assets. But what's really interesting here is that he's innocent, and I believe him. Key here is that this is the first former president to be indicted, and I know there's a myth that nobody's above the law, but guess what? The president and former presidents actually are above the law.
Not anymore, apparently.
There's a lot of things that people could have thought of to indict former presidents on. We spoke about it earlier.
You mean like Reagan?
Barack Obama droned American citizens overseas. Whether or not that some people think that's justified, that's something that could potentially be indicted on. People called.
No, you can't indict him for that.
George Bush say that he started an illegal war in Iraq, but no, the first indictment of a former president that was.
Well, the Congress gave him an authorized use of military force using and I think a lesson learned is you don't give somebody a blank check for that kind of attack in the war on terror. That's why he was able to use that. Again, there is no wiggle room here.
Is initially for hush money.
And by the way, none of these guys believe that in a Benedict Arnold situation where somebody was like, if they believed somebody was giving away U.S. secrets that would get service members killed, they would go, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. We can try to send some cops over to arrest him, but he's an American citizen, so we can't actually, try to attack him or kill him if we know where he is. because he's an American citizen. We have to bring him in no matter what. They don't believe that about criminals on the street in the United States, much less in fucking Pakistan or Afghanistan.
Payments, and now this declassified document.
Eli, you're gonna start making me support this. I mean, if this opens the door for us to go after former presidents and prosecute them, man, I hope he gets off, and he should. But let's do it.
Well, what's it say? If this is the first former president.
No, agreed. I agree. I'm giving you a hard time.
Well, because Nixon should have been charged, but he walked because he was he was pardoned, and he made a gentleman's agreement. I will resign and get out of the way. He didn't try a Jan 6. Had he tried a Jan 6 back then, had Nixon tried to stay in office by violent means, he never would have been pardoned. He would have gone to jail. This would have happened a long time ago. Again, this has a lot to do with Trump's behavior as a human being, as a man, as an egotist.
If they indicted Trump over the Commando raids in Yemen that resulted in the death, allegedly, the death of an American girl, Abdulrahman al-Awlaki's sister, that one is more conjecture than Abdulrahman al-Awlaki, but should be investigated. If they indicted him for that, said an investigation found this to be the case, I'd be like, well, what do you want me to say? You order these raids and you kill American citizens, you get charged. They're not doing that.
Yeah, but the raids weren't for the purpose of killing this child. It was collateral damage. And again, the idea was they could weigh it against national security or support of an ally and those kind of things. There's a lot more wiggle room. This is not the same zone. Again, I can think it's morally wrong. I can think that he wanton disregard for human life. It's absolutely in play. Obviously, it doesn't bother you at fucking all at this point. And I don't know, by the way, where this lays with your belief system about Biden in particular.
They're not.
Biden's the guy who was against the surge in Afghanistan and turned out to be right and said, we got to get the fuck out of there. And every time he was trying to tell Barack Obama at the time, like, look, the generals are going to come every fucking 13 months and ask for another 13 months.
Because they won't do that, because then everyone's going to be like, Mr. Obama, right this way, sir, into this vehicle.
You know what, though? They're so shameless that they would prosecute Trump for something like that and just not look into Obama.
Yeah, they totally would. They wouldn't even bother. They just don't like him. They don't care about human lives or any of that kind of stuff because it's the establishment deep state kind of a thing. It's the swamp. That's how the swamp works, man. They don't really care about these things. They don't care about classified documents. They just don't like Trump. I mean, it's lucky for him that he stole these things and hid them and fought and had one of his employees and his body man hide the shit from his own attorneys and make them lie. I mean, they were able to, like, Peter Principle their way, like, trip and fall into this indictment, and, help themselves to an attack on Trump or whatever. But they wouldn't have even been looking at this, but they just hate the guy's guts. I don't know, something to do with grabbing women by the pussy and being friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it rubbed him the wrong way.
Or Biden. I mean, that's the whole point here, right? And then these people are all criminals.
And then all the people on Twitter would be like, well, actually, it's justified because in this instance.
Yeah.
It's also dangerous.
By the way, explain how that isn't wrong, besides going... Dummy, look how miserable he is. I'm a sad crayon.
Dangerous, though, because when a Republican president will eventually get back into office, we will see attorney generals in different states say, hey, let's go indict a former Democrat. Let's go investigate until we find something. A good prosecutor, it could indict Iraq. So
the whole country?
We don't know what the indictment is right now. It's
Yeah, that is true. So you guys are going to look like dickheads tomorrow, and if I'm talking to the past.
Definitely a process crime, which is kind of a joke. And years ago, they got Martha Stewart on a process crime. So
yeah, and she did time, and you guys thought it was funny, and she did her time fully, and she came out better on the other end. So maybe Trump could, rebrand himself by going to fucking jail.
When you bring enough of his staff in front of the grand jury and somebody forgets one little thing because they can't have the exact memory, you're lying. So it's very easy.
No. Yeah, no, they're not going, do you remember what he said? No, they have recordings, dummy. This guy's a former president. They're not just going to wander people in and go, is that the day he was wearing the orange shirt? And they're like, I don't know, it was orange or kind of a burnt orange or it's kind of a chartreuse. It's hard to say, or what. It might have been blue.
When you have the whole weight of the Justice Department behind you, millions of dollars, they can get you on anything.
Yeah, because Trump doesn't have millions of dollars. He's broke as fuck.
This is a real joke.
Yeah, it's a real joke. It's like, and look at he's got these shit lawyers that he hires and that kind of stuff. He's terrible at picking people. I mean, look at that Jeff Sessions guy. Can you fucking believe that?
Not going to get him that he's holding documents because he's ex-president. Then you'd have to go get Biden. You'd have to go get Pence.
No, you wouldn't, because holding the documents is not the problem. Withholding the documents is the problem. Fighting to keep them. Lying to keep them.
You'd have to go get Obama.
No, you wouldn't.
So it's just going to be a silly process crime, but they want to stop Trump from running.
No, it's not a silly process crime. He was aware of his criminality. There's an awareness of criminality of his crime that is evident in everything they presented just in the indictment. And that's not even the trial itself.
And they want to stop him from...
Do you guys want to see, when a Republican is eventually president again, that attorney generals...
Yeah, let's just spitball. Is there a... What if, like, who would... Could somebody run on lock her up again? Like, how long do we have to wait before I have to give a shit about the law anymore?
From red states go after former Democrat?
Absolutely. And
Yep.
former...
Yeah, Ken Paxton. Yeah, send Ken Paxton after him. That'll do it. He's got obviously he's on a roll. That's the I'm out of beverage. It's so sad.
Former Republicans.
Yeah,
and
all
former
former
Republicans. Go
too.
after Bush.
Yeah.
Go after
But it's so
Obama. Go after
partisan.
Biden.
That's
Go
not
after
what-
all of them.
That's not how it would be.
Also, that's not how it's happening right now. This is not about individual states going after the former president. None of them are going to do it, period.
Though it'd be hyper
Depends on the Republican, but you're probably right. Most Republicans wouldn't, but I think somebody like Trump would.
Maybe, yeah.
I think part of what makes this country great and has made it great is that we haven't fallen into petty squabble like that in 250 years. Like, we just don't do that because we have...
We've had a couple of people engaged in, well, first of all, Nixon aside, we've had presidents assassinated, and then we had a full-on fucking civil war. Calm the fuck down.
Bigger issues.
Shorten your time span here, buddy.
Okay.
160
years. Yeah. I mean, it's been since the Civil War, you could say.
Right.
Okay. But
he's saying basically like the essence is that we haven't been great since the Civil War, that everything before that or whatever was awful because slavery was part of the country, as opposed to the impetus. Go back and people need to go back and read Jefferson and what he was trying to do.
The most part, petty squabble. That wasn't
petty. Yeah, that was a big deal. We had to end slavery.
Oh, I think he was just saying that since the Civil War, we haven't been split like this. Obviously, this asshole has never looked at the 60s.
And it was a big problem. But this is like just the he said, she said. He's carrying a box of documents.
No, it's not a he said, she said. It's he wrote down and he recorded and he took pictures and he shared it and he told him, and his own attorneys went, yeah.
He signed this paperwork. He ordered that kill. He ordered that kill. Like, yo, it's the biggest military in the world. It's the most dangerous machine on earth, and someone's got to point the buttons, point the guns. I just, there's so many more bigger problems on earth that we should be focused on than arresting past political opponents. It's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah, they're not. Honestly, where again, this is almost like the NATO expansion bullshit with Ukraine. You made Trump take these documents and keep them. I mean, what's he going to do in his post-presidency? Charity work and speeches? What's he going to leverage? He can't go back to The Apprentice because that's an embarrassing step down. He can't leave the country because he hates the rest of the world and they hate him, except for a couple places, and he's worried that they'll snuff him and take his shit and whatever, and that Jared's made an arrangement to make that happen. So he's just kind of stuck, So he's gotta steal classified documents and then try to sell them to keep himself afloat, or use it as leverage to not have to pay his loans back.
It's a dangerous, escalation of a tit for tat is what's going to happen.
No, it isn't. There's no tit for tat in this stupid.
Well, this is what's really shocking.
Okay, what's really shocking? Tell us all.
I shouldn't say shocking, but something worth pointing out. And it's that.
Okay, well, I was getting all excited for shocking, and now it's just worth pointing out. What is this, NPR?
There are two segments of the population, and they're relatively large demographics, okay? These
You've got two camps, all right?
are people who are either in category A, willfully ignorant, or in category B, not willfully ignorant, who
Okay, so there's willfully ignorant, and there's dumb, and there's stupid. Stupid is willfully ignorant, people who are ignorant by accident.
believe that this is the first time since Nixon that an American president has done something worthy of pursuing with an indictment or charges. Yeah. There are people who are looking at this and they're saying,
No one thinks that. They just know that certain presidents got away with it, especially the Bush administration and fucking Reagan with Iran-Contra. Go back and watch and look at all the news around Iran-Contra. Look at the follow-up. Look at the fact that Bill Barr was, engaged with the Bush administration, the first Bush administration, to protect Bush at the expense of the people who were involved in Iran-Contra. All that shit was awful. But you know what? You know what made the news? You know what got, the right wing all fired up? Bill Clinton got laid.
Oh my goodness. All of our presidents have behaved within the law and haven't committed war crimes, haven't betrayed the American people, haven't betrayed their oath of office. And then Donald Trump came along.
Yeah, everybody's a war criminal, but Trump isn't. Okay, then I'll work with you. Every president during their time in office commits what someone might regard as a war crime because of the nature of what the other dude said about somebody's got to point. It's the biggest military in the world. Somebody's got to make the decision about where the guns are pointed. And that's going to make somebody think that they're a war criminal no matter what. Okay, fine. All of them are like that. On top of that, Donald Trump stole classified materials, lied about their possession, instructed his staff to hide them from both his lawyers and the FBI, then had them lie on paperwork saying that they don't exist, and went through them personally and hid them or kept copies of them or destroyed them when it was found out that he had them, and then after the fact has continued to lie about that to protect himself. And they're still missing documents. There's in one of the recordings, he talks about a document that is gone. He has the folder for it, but the document itself is nowhere to be found. So on top of every president of America is a war criminal, which fuck off, stack on top of that, then Trump did that and went the extra mile because Trump he got rid of Obama's rules of engagement about drone strikes. He got rid of them entirely. Just said, fill your boots, do your worst, pull your socks up and knock yourself out. Just fire away. And that's in reference to, I think, something like the Yemen attack. And civilian deaths went up 80%. There were 80% more civilian deaths in the first year of the Trump administration from drone strikes than there were in the entirety of the Obama administration in all 8 fucking years. They're all bad. But there's a difference between intentional or collateral and fuck it, I don't care. I mean, if they're there, they gotta be bad. If they're anywhere near a bad person, they deserve whatever's coming.
And there are good reasons to indict that man. And the best of them is that he had declassified documents that he declassified himself.
He didn't declassify them, stupid. I don't even know this dude's name, but he's just following that lie that Trump said as if it's real. He has no ability to declassify those things. And in the recording that they have a transcript of, and that Jack Smith and the grand jury, everybody on the grand jury, heard Trump's own voice say, I could have declassified this when I'm president, but I'm not anymore, so I really can't. And it's secret, and you shouldn't really even be able to see this. And he no longer had his own ability to see top secret stuff anymore. He'd lost access.
People are willing to believe this.
Well,
you believe something that is false. You believe this guy at base believes Trump's biggest, dumbest lie about the dox case. Trump's had a bunch of dumb lies. He's had several squirmy things that he said to try and get out of this. The dumbest one is that he could magically declassify stuff. That's just horse shit. It's also not even true based on the behavior of his lawyers after the fact. Again, they put it in a red envelope. They wrapped it up in plastic. He even told the guy, take it to your hotel room and remove some of the bad stuff. If anything you found might get me in trouble, which it had already been sealed, and what a fucking idiot, but okay. This guy, even though that's true, that's in there. And also him saying on a recording, I can't declassify this stuff. I could when I was president, but I haven't. And I can't I have stuff that is not declassified that I have no right to. He's aware that he's not allowed to have it or show it to anybody, and he's still showing it to people. He shows it to a staffer who doesn't have clearance. He shows it to these writers who don't have clearance. And this asshole is still buying I can just walk into a room. Anything I carry out is magically declassified by the fact that I move it from room A to room B.
Remarkable thing is
how dumb your guests are or your regulars. I don't know who's who.
Logic makes no sense. If Trump can't declassify anything at any time, then he's literally not the authority of this country to have conversations pertaining to war. How can you be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces? And then this is the example I gave last time. It's like you meet with Vladimir Putin and he's like, you know, I want you to move these missiles out of this territory. What missiles?
Yeah.
Okay, we know the U.S. has missiles here. You move them, otherwise it's war. I'm sorry, I can't confirm or deny. I don't have the authority.
Biden probably does say what missiles, though, to be fair. He's like, what are you talking about, man?
He's old. Secondly, no, we are and by the way, if Trump is telling Putin and confirming where missile sites are, and that's the arguments that kind of say, if you don't move these particular ones, they're right here, and I'm going to attack you or something. If that's the idea, if that's what they think the negotiations are like, it's a little cartoonish. It's very, crayons and hammers. Biden knows exactly where those are. I mean, again, go watch the debates again, and then look at the shock on Trump's face when Biden brings up how many uncapped wells that were leaking methane there are in the country, and they've got no notes. He's just mentioning these things. And Trump's like, I'm the best guy, and that's it.
I don't know what you mean. What? Do we have missiles? He gets on the phone. He's like, are there missiles in Ukraine? There are. Oh, man.
You think
no, there aren't.
The implication,
and then he gets off the line. He's like, I don't know if there's missiles there.
Do you think that the implication is that Donald Trump didn't declassify the documents before he took them?
There's no process for it.
Oh, okay.
The president has plenary declassification powers. He can
no, he doesn't.
Literally just be like, these are no longer classified.
Right. And if he acts on that, but there's a process that he has to go through so other people know that's true. And secondarily, he still can't declassify stuff and make it for public consumption willy fucking nilly, because if you want the 25th Amendment, that's how you get there. But there was never even a premise that he did that. Because again, if that was true, then these documents he would bring them legally into a court and go, all of these documents are the ones that I brought with me, and they are all declassified. I was able to declassify them. I consider these declassified. I told him while we were in office. What? Did you write it down? No. What the fuck kind of country do you think we would have if somebody could just verbally do it? And again, I raised this idea, like Kash Patel walks in on Trump. He's dead. Trump had a vapor lock, passed out, and fell into his fish delight and died. And Kash Patel is alone in the Oval with Trump's corpse. And there's a bunch of shit laying there. And Kash Patel just scoops up a bunch of these documents and goes, Trump said these were declassified. He said I could have them. And that's the process now, according to Tim Pool. That's how things should and do work. And also, there's a difference between having a conversation between another world leader and discussing with your team and with your national security advisor and other people what you would even talk about or even agree to argue about with the other side, because you're new here and you can't possibly know about all this stuff. So you might go, well, we'll discuss that at a future time. And then you go back and go, okay, are there missiles here that we need to deal with? What if we move these? What if they take these out? What's been the problem in the past? Because I was caught off guard by this part of the conversation. What do we do after that fact? And they go, well, we didn't actually have those there. He thinks these are there. These are another country's, but we do have them here and here. And these aren't, if we move these, they could launch hypersonic missiles from this point and hit a bunch of our allies, and they've threatened to do it in the past, so we keep them there. Okay, now I know. As opposed to, okay, anything, pooty poot, whatever you want.
So I had them on me, therefore they're not classified anymore.
He did say they were declassified.
Well, after he was busted. Before he was busted in a recording, he said, I can't declassify these. These aren't declassified. And they had, again, a red-weld envelope, which proves they weren't. This is what you have. This is the hypnosis of a singular lie. This is what you're seeing here. That all these guys bought this one particular story. It's like people who think they've seen the laptop. They've seen stuff off a hard drive named laptop that was passed around and is a 5th gen with a bunch of extra shit added onto it and blah, blah, blah. They've never actually seen the laptop. And then if you go to Steven Crowder, or you go to one of these guys, they're like, we've seen the laptop. Rudy showed us. Okay, show me the picture. That's a Dell. The literally John Paul McIsaac's shop, he works on Macs only. Also, the contents of that hard drive is way too big to be the contents of what was on the built-in hard drive, which John Paul McIsaac said he was never able to get all the material that was on there. It wasn't even full to begin with, and certainly it was never hooked up to the fucking cloud so he could download another 200 gigs that you could open zips and shit that were on there. That wasn't the case. He even said so. As dumb as he was, even as much as he can't even identify Hunter Biden by sight, he cannot do that, or by voice even. He's never seen the man because he can't see 6 inches past his face. Period. End of story. He's not good. You're not in no situation is Tim Pool going to accept that guy as a witness against himself. If Tim's in any kind of criminal situation and his lawyer allows John Paul McIsaac to sit on the stand and they go, do you see the defendant Tim Pool in the courtroom? And he goes, yeah, he's over there basically. What? Yeah, that's where the table is. I know he's sitting over there. He's probably wearing a beanie. I've heard that. Got a whingy little voice or whatever. Has kind of a chirpy way of speaking. But you can't identify him physically. No, but he's right over there. Basically, you can't see him. No, I can't see 6 inches past my face. But he's the one who came into your shop. Yeah. How do you know? Well, he tried to kiss me. He was very, very close.
But they're like arguing there's some kind of formal process by which the president does not needs to get approval from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't need to get approval. He needs to go through the process so everybody else in the fucking government knows what's classified and what isn't. It's not some slapdash fucking roll in, pull your mic to your face and just say whatever the fuck you want. It's the U.S. government. It's the presidency of the United States. Have some fucking standards. And on top of that, you're not on a radio show. This is a live stream. Get some fucking earbuds or just talk. You're not taking callers. Why are you wearing headphones?
But they're not going after him on this.
Like, he's like a toddler at a gun range.
Apparently, the report is that they're charging him with losing possession of classified documents.
Apparently. Yeah, that's what it is. It's he's just lost some stuff. He doesn't even know. Apparently, guys, yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent. Apparently, they're charging him with like losing stuff that he had the right to have it anyway. So I guess, and he declassified it. So I don't even know. It gets lost. If it's lost, it's lost because he lost it. He has the right to lose things as president.
Something like that.
Or something like that.
Or of sensitive national security documents. So they're actually trying to avoid the question of whether or not he classified or declassified by saying,
no, they're not. Tim, you are out over your fucking skis, my man. This was last night. This case has been going on for a long fucking time. And most of the details of it, especially the stuff with the red weld envelope, which is proof that he didn't declassify stuff. He knew these things. His attorneys are admitting this is not declassified. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to put it in a red weld envelope. We don't believe they would have shown up with an open folder. Here's the classified documents. He says they're unclassified. That's the case we're making. They didn't. They put it in a red weld and they sealed it. The lawyer who went in there literally said, bring me clear tape. And they wrapped the fucking thing in clear tape so nobody can open it. And Trump goes, maybe you can, if there's anything bad, you can take it. Like, motherfucker, it's sealed. No. And now we know he's been recorded saying, I could have declassified these when I was president, but I didn't.
It's a totally different law.
Now,
and again, I mean, it's just ass talk with Tim Pool. They're just talking out of their ass. And again, it's one thing to think it might go this way, it might go this way. This might be the argument. If they did argue this, it might be that he's asserting these things, which are 24 hours or 10 hours later. This is 8 hours ago. This clip was posted. 8 hours later are provable gibberish.
Losing control of secured documents is something Hillary Clinton did when she would forward all that stuff to Jake Sullivan. Like out of her 30,000 emails or whatever she had,
she did not forward 30,000 emails to Jake Sullivan.
I should have one that I could pull up right now.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You should probably, if you're going to reference, criminality, because I understand why you wouldn't, because your head is full of Trump can magically declassify things by farting in their general direction.
That was legitimate national security risk. But she was, as far as I understand, not supposed to be forwarding Secretary of State documents to this guy, Jake Sullivan.
Well, Ian, I think there's a good argument to be made that every single one of the 30,000 emails that Hillary Clinton deleted was a potential national security risk if she were to be elected, for one very simple reason. She didn't want people to see those emails, and there was a receiver, which means there were people who would have the leverage over the sitting president of the United States of being able to release these emails that she deleted when she was subpoenaed. So,
yes, because emails are like physical letters. They go from you to someone else and nobody else can see them. Also, no, that's not how that worked out. That's not what the circumstance was. The argument was that they believed it was an unsecure server. It wasn't, but they believed it was. And the idea was that somebody could have hacked and got these things. It wasn't that she was sending shit that was classified to unauthorized people.
That in and of itself means
if you're going to just pull fucking laundry out of your ass, don't hang it on a line and say it's spring fresh.
That someone else could end up pulling the strings, or someone else could end up...
Right, like all the people who come to Mar-a-Lago posing as, a Rothschild, for example.
Being in a position where the president owes them this favor because they have blackmail.
You mean because someone else received documents from Hillary? That means anyone could have them?
Well, no, my point is, so Hillary Clinton has these 30,000 emails, and then she deletes all of them because she clearly doesn't want an investigation to be looking into those emails.
No, they don't want any of the stuff that was on the server that had to do with either private business or the or time at state to be discoverable by anyone outside of government. Inside of government, they have copies of them. Outside of government, they do not. And it should stay that way. Imagine, if you will, Hillary Clinton leaves office. She goes to Mar-a-Lago and she has boxes that in them have no classified documents, because the classified documents she had only went between her and people with the qualifications to look at those things, and now they are not outside of the White House. She did not bring them to Mar-a-Lago and put them in a fucking theater, and then a toilet, and then a storage room, and then an office, and then the foyer of your living area where people walk by all fucking day.
She doesn't want the American people to see them.
Right. Well, that's true of all classified documents. You can't argue classified threat if no one can see them, because that's kind of the point of top secret.
Well, here's the thing. She can only delete those emails on her end.
Thanks for watching this clip from the
Okay. Bail out when he's saying something really dumb.
Timcast IRL podcast.
Okay. He's got his headphones off, so this is a clip ending. Anyways, there's a lot of that shit around. Good Lord. Ugh. And the idea, and hold on a second, let me open up. Hi, chat room. Love you guys. I went long again, didn't I? I gotta go. We're gonna have so much more to cover on tomorrow's show on the radio. Good Lord. So the Timcast guys are all they've got like lie capture. They liked the sound of one of the lies, and so they've just kept like volleyballing it in the air. Even though Trump has moved on, Trump doesn't even say that anymore.